Mikal Bridges, just ridiculous.
The confidence has caught up to the physical and athletic attributes that Mikal has.
Ejected by Bridges. Talk about a player that plays at both ends.
Up and away, baby!
He's the real deal, and he's just a junior. There's more time for him in this game.
At 6'7" with a 7'2" wingspan and long strides, Mikal Bridges is a fluid open court athlete who finished in the 90th percentile as a transition scorer. He's able to use that 7'2" wingspan and 8'8" standing reach to finish above the rim in space. He's not a traditionally explosive leaper, but that length allows him to finish from all different vantage points. Also gives him some potential as a straight line slasher, comfortable exploding off that right foot and finishing with his offhand. Then lastly, Bridges able to use that 7'2" wingspan to add value as an offensive rebounder in the half court. Bridges, one of the best spot shooting wings in the draft, made 3.5 triples per 40 minutes last season at 44%. Teams have to track him in transition, almost deadly with his feet set at the college level. Also does a great job of reading the ball handler, fading to that deep corner. Impressive shot prep, has his hands and feet ready, catches on the hop, and does a nice job of maintaining balance throughout his stroke. Villanova also used him as a small ball forward. They picked and popped him to space where he did a great job of getting his feet set, shooting it on balance. Also capable of knocking down a 1 or 2 dribble pull-up when you run him off his spots, has that high release point, shoots it the same way every time, then uses that stride length to get to the rim when he's run off the three-point line. Impressive timing, attacking closeouts. Has potential as an on-the-move shooter as well because of that high release point. Does a great job of coming off that pin down. Really tough shot to block in those mid-range spots. Lastly, adds value as an off-ball cutter, has a solid feel for the game, very comfortable playing off the ball, and finished in the 99th percentile as a half-court scorer, one of the most efficient players in the entire country. Bridges, a prototypical 3-and-D style wing prospect. Now he gets beat off the dribble a little more than you'd expect given his reputation, but he's active on the perimeter and does a great job of using that 7'2" wingspan, 8'8" standing reach to bother opposing guards. He does a nice job as a space defender against smaller guards. He's able to sag off in order to keep them in front and then uses that length to alter shots as the primary defender. When he gets beat off the bounce, he recovers with length. Average 1.3 blocks per 40 minutes, playing mostly small forward. Really impressive number. He has good instincts. He's fairly competitive. Does a nice job of rotating from the weak side with regularity. Going to be a good team defender at the NBA level from day one. Very active in the passing lanes. He digs down on opposing bigs. Not afraid to get on the floor for loose balls. Average 1.9 steals per 40 minutes last season with Villanova. Big time defensive playmaker given his combination of length and experience. He's improved as a ball handler, but Bridges not all that comfortable in shot creation situations. He's going to be mostly limited to catch and shoot threes, straight line drives, and off-ball cuts in the half court at the NBA level. Just not all that comfortable getting all the way to the rim and pick and roll. Handle still a little bit high and loose, and lacks a degree of finesse in the paint. Finished only 3 of 10 floaters in the half court last season. Doesn't get to the free throw line at a high rate, and not much of a playmaker for others either in the half court, especially against scrambling defenses. At his best, when he keeps things simple, keeps the ball moving. Now he's not going to play outside of himself and jack up contested shots or force drives in the paint, but just not that gifted of a playmaker in the half court. A little bit tentative when you run him off his spots. He can attack closeouts, but misses Dante DiVincenzo open here on the drop-off. Then not a very dynamic pull-up shooter. Made only 29 pull-up jumpers in 116 collegiate games at Villanova. Just very limited in terms of the versatility of his shot making. Now he can shoot it on the move, a little bit sprinting off screens. He's very good getting to his spots on penetration and catching on the hop, but just not very dynamic, pulling up off the dribble, shoots it on the way down at times. Now, he has length, instincts, and he's fairly competitive, but Bridges gives up penetration far more than you'd hope given his projected role as a 3-and-D wing. With somewhat high hips, big feet, and skinny ankles, he struggles to fully sit down in a stance at times, getting beat off the dribble far too often. At 204 pounds, there are also questions about just how many positions Bridges will be able to handle at the NBA level.
We're here with Mikal Bridges at the Adidas Nations in Houston.
Is there anything that you might want to share with us before we start talking?
After talking to my parents, my family, my coaches, I was declared for the NBA draft. And
What a talent! He's got a ton of potential.
Mikal Bridges has one of the highest floors of any wing prospect in this draft. At 6'7" with a 7'2" wingspan, a smooth shooting stroke, and defensive instincts, Bridges is the prototypical 3-and-D style wing prospect who should have an impact from day one in the NBA. With 2 national championships to his name and impressive intangibles, he's likely to maximize his long-term potential. How high that ceiling is, however, is certainly a question mark for the 21-year-old. He's somewhat one-dimensional in the half court, has a history of being a bit passive, and gets beat off the dribble more than you'd hope for a defensive stopper. With that said, every team is in search of length, shooting, defensive potential, and character, and Bridges checks all those boxes.
Well, I'm blessed to be in the spot where the NBA is very, they look for guys like me, but, I can shoot the ball, I can defend really well, and I work really hard, so I'm just going to, progress on my game and just try to be the best player I can be by the end of my life.